Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're ready to unpack a possibility from our source material that's, well, truly mind-bending.
It really is. We're looking at excerpts from the record file, and it tackles time travel in a pretty startling way.
Exactly. It doesn't just ask if time travel is possible, it poses this really unsettling question. What if humans from the future? What if they're already here?
Already among us. That's the core idea. And the record file lays out some genuinely surprising arguments, some observations to back this up.
So, our mission today is to walk you through those points. Explore why this source believes future visitors might already be woven into our reality, into our history.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so where does the record file start building its case? It looks at just the incredible speed of recent tech advancements.
Right. Things like AI, quantum computing, particle manipulation.
And instead of these feeling totally new, the source suggests they often feel more like rediscoveries?
Yeah, rediscovery. Like, we're not inventing purely from scratch, but finding things. Blueprints, maybe.
Yeah.
Things that were somehow left for us.
That's the feeling it describes. The record file actually quotes an anonymous physicist on this.
It does. Saying these leaps feel less like natural evolution and more like following a trace someone left behind.
A craze.
Yeah. It suggests that, the sometimes sudden, non-linear way these breakthroughs happen.
Yeah.
It feels less like our own progress and more like uncovering steps on a path already laid out. That's not evolution. That's a trace, is the quote used.
Okay, that's already a bit unsettling, but then it gets into historical anomalies, which is where it gets really intriguing.
Mm-hmm. The record file points to these oddities throughout history.
You mean things like old photographs, early 20th century, say, where someone just looks wrong.
Exactly. Subtly out of place. Their clothes, maybe, or just how they hold themselves, it feels off for the time.
And it also mentions inexplicable ancient devices, right?
Yeah.
Technology that seems way too advanced.
Yes, and witness accounts across different centuries describing things that, well, they just shouldn't exist yet, things that sound futuristic.
So what's the hypothesis the record file builds from all this?
It suggests these aren't just, random curiosities. They could be evidence. Evidence of temporal intruders.
Temporal intruders, visitors from the future.
That's the idea put forward, that maybe they're here observing, recording our history, and crucially, perhaps making subtle corrections.
Corrections? Why?
Well, the source speculates the driving force could be to prevent some kind of catastrophic collapse that happened in their future timeline.
Wow. So, like, cosmic repair crews trying to fix our past to save their future. That's a wild thought.
It is. And the record file also brings up work by what it calls non-human pattern researchers.
Okay. What do they suggest?
They propose that certain historical objects might hold encrypted information. Patterns unrecognizable to us, maybe, like timestamps.
Hidden messages across time.
Possibly. And the source links this to the ideas of a Dr. I.L. Menrose, described as studying nonlinear structures.
Nonlinear,
Yeah.
like patterns outside our usual timeline?
Kind of. Communications or structures that don't follow standard chronological logic. And Dr. Menrose, as cited in the source, speculates these patterns or objects could be beacons.
Beacons? For who?
Not necessarily messages to us, but maybe left by future visitors for themselves, like navigational aids.
You mean like signposts left across different time layers to guide others?
Exactly. Markers for subsequent visitors or missions. That's the interpretation offered.
Okay, so if you take all these threads from the record file, the text seeming like rediscovery, the anomalies as potential visitors, these may be beacons, it leads somewhere pretty profound.
Definitely unsettling. It suggests that maybe humanity isn't just evolving linearly toward some endpoint we imagine.
Instead, we might be, what was the phrase? A corrected variable.
That's the unsettling implication drawn by the record file, yes. If future people can travel through time and influence events, then maybe history doesn't just repeat.
It calibrates.
It calibrates. That's the argument. If future man is already here, then history does not repeat. It calibrates. Our timeline isn't just unfolding, it could be being fine-tuned.
Wow. Okay. And the biggest takeaway from the record file, the really provocative bit at the end,
Is that if it's even possible for someone to have crossed the temporal barrier, then they could have left a trace.
a path, a blueprint, those beacons,
Mm.
something for others, or even us, to find.
Which means that unsettling possibility we started with, future humans.
Could already be here, walking among us, influencing things in ways we don't even see.
So this deep dive into the record file, It really forces you to look at time and history differently, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We've touched on the technology feeling like rediscovery,
The historical anomalies as potential temporal intruders.
and this really complex idea of encrypted beacons left behind.
And it all circles back to that central hypothesis from the source.
Yeah.
The sheer possibility that someone did cross over means future humans could, well, already be part of our world.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty big question to think about, based on where the record file concludes.
Yeah. If our history isn't just happening, if it isn't just repeating, but might be subtly calibrated, maybe by visitors from our own future.
What does that actually imply about our own free will? About the path we believe we're carving out for ourselves?
It certainly offers a very different lens to view everything through.
Yeah.
Something to consider.